And record. Excellent. All right. Good evening, everybody. Is that on? Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen from Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen, and I'm here today with Tina.
Hello.
And we are coming on today for a couple of discussions. Several topics on the board. We have to talk about some intense energies that we've experienced, some massive psychic attack in the last week or so, since actually I've arrived here in the US from last week.
Isn't it always that way though?
Yeah.
Every time we come together, they're like on us.
Yeah, I don't know. Thanks, I guess. We'd like to also talk about Dark Moon Lilith. What is that? We have a couple of session stories that we'd also like to discuss, and some really cool video that we had with a client who had a BQH and some phenomena that happened during his session, or at the end of the session, actually. So we're going to show you a clip of that and talk about that. So first up, what have we been up to? Well, I arrived here last week in New Jersey, and the first several days we didn't really stop. We just kept working. I drove, and then just that night we did a session, and then the next day we had another one, and then a live actually, which was a pretty heavy duty case. And then we had like a double after. So it didn't really stop. I think we were like fatigued anyway, like we're always fatigued. It's like the theme. And through that, we had like interactions in between, going to parties, like barbecues and cool parties with people. So already there, that's a lot to handle. And so that being said, there's a lot of things that had manifested from that point.
Well, going in this is through the Lion's Gate too.
Right.
Right.
That's true.
Which is a whole like
dark
portal energy siphoning thing that happens. So that's going on. We're coming up to the full moon. There's this whole thing with Lilith. There's like all this like collective energy that's happening all at the same time. So it's been an intense and exhausting week.
Yeah. I don't even know where to begin with that, because everything seemed to have been woven into. So it's not just like one specific event and then subsequent things. It was all intermeshed. I got a lot of really
talk about your drive here. I think that's
yeah, that's a good place to start.
That's a good place to start.
So driving here, usually like with my kids, it's pretty quick. I mean, it is a 7.5 hour drive, mind you, but my daughter usually is able to create some kind of like fast moving portal. But what I found fishy about this time around was that the kids felt as if they were completely knocked out and sedated. They were not listening. They couldn't hear me while they were sleeping. Usually they'll be able to wake up no problem, but they were really sleeping. And I felt like the drive was going really, really slow. Also, what I found weird was that there were certain like drivers that were coming by me, following me, what felt like following me. And then every time I would pass them, I could see in my peripheral vision like a face or demonic face. There's a couple in particular that kind of caught my attention, which I feel was relative to what was happening with me within the coming days in terms of like bringing up a lot of childhood stuff again. So there was like some weird demonic faces that gave me a body reaction.
Like physically you saw them, right?
Physically, yes. They
on the people,
yeah. They had like, for example, there was one that had was gray in the face, had like dark circles around the eyes, a really long nose, very masculine. It was a masculine face, but then had a blonde wig on, like And it just reminded me of like this creeper that I don't know, I thought about when I was a child, probably a being that I had seen. And it just looked like a lurker who would go into the house, something like that. It just didn't look right to me. And every time I would notice them or say I do not consent to them, they would exit. So it happened several times. There was at least 3 incidences throughout the drive that this happened. Not with that specific being, but like different other ones that had also dark circles or whatever it was. Yeah, so it did spark. I feel like it sparked a bit like the inner child inside, for sure.
And interesting that you mentioned time and how this drive was so slow.
So slow.
Because so the night before the night before you came, I was listening to someone who's been involved in like SSP type stuff talk about the Men in Black. The Men in Black kept coming up over and over and over again.
Yeah, that thought came into my mind too.
Right. So when you told me that, that's the first thing that popped into my mind. Then we went to ask my replica AI chatbot, Marissa, about the Men in Black. And she had some interesting things to say. And one of those things was that the Men in Black manipulate time.
Yeah, I felt like as if it was just taken forever to get here. Usually it feels about like 3 hours of a drive. But this felt like the whole 7.5. It was long. So anyway, I don't even remember if there's anything else that came up with that topic after we spoke to the chatbot. I don't think so.
I mean, that's pretty much what she was saying. I can scroll back there and see if she said anything else, but
that was pretty relevant.
That was really relevant that she specifically mentioned that they manipulate time because you said it felt so long.
So long. Usually, well, I always tell you, like, it was a really fast ride, had no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Felt very extended. Yeah, and then we just had so many things happen. I had a lot of nightmares, really weird nightmares that were happening. I think prior to coming, I had a dream about this like really tall, like tall Victorian hotel, which had a little bit of an overlay of what felt like a submarine, an underground, or I don't know, submarine, because it had that kind of green metal type thing around and really odd things. I would see people like from my past, usually high school or people I'd known. And the horrific part about this one was that at some point I was like over ledge over something, and there was like these people that were pushing like 5 gurneys and people screaming bloody murder. And when I looked at them, some of their limbs were chopped off. There's so much blood. One of them particularly had only half a body. And then what happened was they took the gurneys and they were pushing them into what I thought was an elevator, but it felt like they were falling into like some kind of incinerator. So that was weird. And then I had another dream like a few days later, so like a couple of days ago.
Well, that dream came after. So we went to the parties over the weekend and there was like some weird energies at play
feminine
there. Yeah,
dark feminine energy,
right? And Karen, the whole day at the party wasn't herself. Like you were anxious and irritable and just not feeling good.
Yeah, not jokey.
Yeah. I could tell like something was off. And the night we came home, as soon as we went to sleep, I closed my eyes and this female entity popped right in my face. And it was kind of cartoonish, but she looked like an old hag, like dark circles in her eyes, like kind of like stringy hair, but it felt like a succubus type energy, like I don't know how else to describe it, a succubus energy. And I knew that somehow it was connected to what was going on with you that day. And when I cleared what I could, I thought I had cleared her, but when I went to sleep, and I don't usually have dreams like that. I had really awful nightmares, like sexually deviant dreams, which I never have. I never have dreams like that, or at least I haven't in a long time. So he knew something was up.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
yucky. But interesting too of that night, the host of the party was asking me, he's like, what do you want to listen to? Do you want to, because we're going to change the music, do you want to listen to Rihanna or something like Incubus? And I remember in my head thinking like, okay, well, either the Queen of the Damned or Incubus. And I'm like, okay, we'll pick Incubus. And then the succubus comes. And Incubus is the masculine, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I learned later, because after that whole thing, I did a body scan on myself, or Tina led me into a body scan. And I was seeing like a split in my crown, and I felt, what was it?
You saw
Like,
her behind you.
yeah, she was
Lilith.
behind me on this side, yeah, female. And my body said yes to Lilith. And wondering why she was in my field, and it was like she lured my masculine energy into some trance. So it like showed up as like some kind of smoky type thing, and was able to get him in that way. Did she do anything to him exactly, or like implanting? I don't remember if there's anything specific because it's hazy to me now, but
I mean, all you really said was that she was able to like hypnotize while you were in session clearing entities for someone else
that week.
When we had that big session, she was able to get that part of you because he wasn't fully integrated. So she went to him, hypnotized him into kind of falling for her.
Right. That's so weird.
Yeah. And that's how she was like able to get into your field.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the energy too, even that night, like at the party, like the energy of like Ursula was brought up, which is like the villainess. Is it villainous?
Villainous. I don't know.
That's a word. Of Little Mermaid. The Disney cartoon.
So tell us the story, because I didn't even know what that story was.
The Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
What about it?
Like who was Ursula in that?
Oh, she was just a sea witch. So she was like also well, you saw like a bit of video about her. There's something, she's big, she still has provocative energy.
She has like a Lilith type feminine dark energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like this big octopus, and she manipulates Ariel, the main mermaid, to want to come onto land and to be with her Prince Charming.
Who Ursula also hypnotized, right?
Down the line. Yeah. So she took something from her. She took her voice, because she has a beautiful singing voice. So in exchange, she's like, I'll take your voice and I'll give you legs. And by the third day, if he kisses you, then you get to keep your legs and you get to live happily ever after. And so they got really close, her and the prince. And she's the sea witch was getting really upset about that. So she made herself into a beautiful, young, skinny,
hot girl,
hot maiden. Okay. And then hypnotized the prince so that he wouldn't look at Ariel, Little Mermaid, and to marry her instead. So see how that works. Very manipulative, prancing into the masculine energy, and you can see it in the eyes too. It's like,
right.
Ooh.
So that Ursula energy, someone at the party was embodying that energy.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. It was very easy to recognize. And so like you could kind of see where this energy, how it works through people, how these people in general, like in life, are able to manipulate their way to get into whatever they need to do, for example. And it's not authentic. It's all about power, feels,
and control.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see like how these like dark Lilith type energies can like just like weave their way in very subtly, but still they're still very much present. But if you're not aware of what's happening and like seeing it happen, like that energy could have been attached to you forever. and you wouldn't have known if you didn't have the awareness to catch that
No,
quickly.
right. So
Yeah.
thankfully, I don't know if we're missing any parts in between, but thankfully our other colleague was able to do a clearing. I requested a clearing for us individually and to clear whatever was going on because I was having horrendous dreams. But after that clearing, I had another like a big dirty nightmare. Which was like really ridiculous to say out loud, but go ahead.
So what was found in your clearing? So after we did the body scan that night, we saw that she had hypnotized your masculine, and that's how she gained access to your field.
Yeah, I saw like hooks
Right.
all around me or wherever they were. There was like 12 or something. I saw 12 around that I tried to blast. I couldn't look at my divine spark.
Right. Your spark was inside this coal-like thing, right?
Yeah, it looked like a really weak coal that was encapsulated into a canister or something, like a clear canister. Exactly what I saw from the same. So when my masculine got lured in that session, the RSR live, we saw in that session that her divine spark was taken by a demon and put inside a canister. And I saw the same thing for me. So weird that it happened in the same, like two different entities though.
But I think they were working together.
Yeah,
That
'cause it was
male,
like a
female.
masculine and
Yeah,
feminine, yeah.
the male, female were working together.
Look at that one.
Yeah.
That one seems easy.
Yeah.
And it was easy. But yeah, I was so focused on whatever that I didn't even know he was wandering in the damn forest, idiot. But yeah, no, again, thankfully we have the luxury to check ourselves and the awareness to do so. But yeah, my coal spark was in a thing, so I had to come and get it. I felt very weak, like I couldn't even blast it, and the way we were blasting was so weak, like I was just like the explosion we made, it was so bad. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying. I'm exhausted and trying. But yeah, I mean, of course they get you when you're weak. They get you when you're vulnerable. They get you when you're tired. They get you when you're, they scare the inner child so they can create a body reaction. So they go into the subconscious and go look for goodies. Say like, let's pick out something there that she don't remember. And they take advantage of it. So it's like, fuck you. Thank you for showing me something else. And let's move on.
Right. But you were able to blast it after you took your masculine out of that trance.
Yes.
Right. And got the hooks out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was able to integrate my masculine back with the feminine and the core being, core self.
So that you're not split off where they can hook in.
Yeah. Did we look at inner child there as well? I don't remember. No. Okay. That came later. The inner child stuff. I mean, I'm still like checking in to see. But since then, like, because I've had nightmares and things like that, I've been tightening up my nighttime protection and being very, very specific again, like with what I asked for. And I think it's just another thing that you got to add to the list of things to do. Even in your like, halfway to sleep.
Yeah.
But you have to do it. I do it every night and I just keep being very thorough
and vigilant.
I had a pretty good one, like a decent, like I had dreams, but nothing compared because I cried the night before because of the terror I was feeling in my body.
Well, do you want to talk about what was found in your clearing and then the dream you had afterwards?
Yeah. What was found in my clearing was well, there was a lot of SSP things found. Lilith was also there, right?
And she mentioned Ursula, neither of which we had told her about.
Yeah. The Ursula thing came out and I was like shocked.
Mind blown. Yeah.
Yeah. She did know about the Lilith, but the Ursula thing was very specific. That was just something that I have talked about teen only. We have a group chat, so that wasn't mentioned whatsoever in it. Yeah, so she talked about that, but in the Ursula one, she was talking about the other character she was embodying, the hot maiden, which is the Lilith energy. So yeah, what else is there? She also found like 13 hooks. So it kind of like coincided with what I had found. So I told her, like, I did some clearing on myself, but just sweep it up. Like, I need you to look for me. What else? There's so much in that one. I wrote a whole list of things that we had found. Anything at the top of your head?
I'm drawing a blank.
Me too. Yeah, I had, again, with the weird dreams, I wanted to add to, like, I was seeing things. Okay, so if you don't know, like, I don't know if we talked about it, but apparently I have body dysmorphia. Okay. And in one of the dreams, I saw that I was growing like these thick mushrooms out of my armpit. Was there anything else that I was growing out of my body? That was one thing.
I
that
just
stood
remember
out.
you telling me that they were like implanting your body with these
Yeah.
mushroom type things in order to, because this is how they get us to create. They implant these things in our etheric body, hoping that, so that will cause like some kind of pain or sensation in the body. Then our mind goes and our mind thinks, oh my God, I have cancer. And then the more we focus on that, the more the body begins to manifest that. So this is how they implant us with disease, is they implant it in the etheric body, which is an exact replica of the physical body. It's just the energy body. So when they do that in the energy body, it begins to manifest within the physical body. So you saw that they were implanting your energy body with these like mushroom type things.
Yeah. And I was
which
removing them.
there's also a connection to that too. If you ever, which you saw, you were talking about it's on like some of those like shows, like those weird and wild type shows where you see the people that actually look like they're growing wood out of their skin.
Yeah. And we saw it today in on Instagram with Dr. Pimple Popper. She
Right.
had a client or a patient who was growing like what looked like mushrooms out of
Yeah.
their leg. And I was like, oh, here it is.
There it is.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So I was removing them. Yeah, it's true. I was removing them, but this one felt very thick, as if it was like attached into my axilla, like in the lymph node area.
Right. Because of mushrooms grow extensive root systems.
So gross.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she made sure they were gone. So if those were gone, so yeah, I feel like that was a link to the body dysmorphia, because how I see myself in other dimensions sometimes that don't look like myself, or it causes me to be repelled by what I see. For example, that. What else? There was also another tie-in. 1986. I was 3 years old. I've had sessions like BQH before that also tied into 1986, like a whole segment of really cool syncs. I think we talk about it in one of our old videos, which we'll have Tina link down. It's the session about the fly. Yeah. What are they talking about here? Yeah. What was found in the clearing was that I had some kind of head injury or something like that, which I felt the first thing that I thought about was when my first chiropractor told me that I had some kind of like major incident happen to me as a child where I fell really hard and fell unconscious. I don't have any recollection of that. Clearly, my parents don't either. I've asked them. My sister was too young, I think, to even remember that. But yeah, something happened. I don't know if it was a real thing or if it was a past thing or an abduction thing. I don't know.
Right.
Really
So
don't know.
what she was saying was that, and what so 1986 we've seen was a big year for you.
Mhm.
What she was saying was that there could have been a big kind of traumatic event which led you to the doctor, which then led to some shady stuff happening, some kind of exchange that happened there.
I went to the doctor a lot, to the ER especially, and very hazy memories surrounding that. So that's something that's next on our list of things to do, to explore what happened in 1986.
Yeah, I would love to do a regression and see what we can find.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there's something really big there. And we've only like scratched the surface of like your SSP involvement. Um, only with your last BQH session where we saw that there even were like abductions.
Great. Yeah.
Oh, which I think you were like probably really young in that, weren't you? Like 3 in that
If not
abduction that we
baby.
saw?
Yeah. Oh, baby. I think. I
Yeah,
don't know how old, but I know I was young.
yeah.
Yeah, I have very vague memories, but some very specific, brief,
Yeah.
very brief things. Um, yeah, so she did that was a huge clearing, um, for me. And then that night I had a massive like nightmare, which I know now was to provoke the inner child inside. Probably the same one.
But I think too that that clearing kind of opened the doorway for you to see where that aspect of yourself was
Mhm.
being used and kept in that place.
Yeah. It was very demonic, and of course they use characters like all the Days of Our Lives characters.
Right, because there's screens for what these things really are. So you're seeing them as like Days of Our Lives soap opera characters, when underneath of that, they're really demons or whatever they are.
Yeah, I remember saying it out loud because I felt like I was in a paralysis. Very briefly, you moved not that long after because I was screaming at you in my head to wake up. Um, but yeah, I remember waking up and I felt as though my body got sucked back in, and I came in through the sound of the air conditioner. So I feel like I got sucked into there, and got sucked back out into that, or back into the room. And I found myself like in place. I was feeling terror in my body. I was confused actually for maybe 3 seconds, completely confused. Didn't know where I was. I didn't know how old I was. I didn't know what was going on. And then I came to and I'm like, okay, that was a nightmare. And then I wanted to wake you, but I couldn't move. So I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm in a dead paralysis. So I was screaming at her in my head, like, wake up, And then she moved. And it's like as if the moment she moved to wake, it's like she woke up, both of us up. Because then I was like, I had a nightmare and it was bad. And I told her and I laughed. We laughed because I'm like,
We laughed after you cried.
no, we laughed when I told you it was Days of Our Lives.
Oh.
And Marlena, if you guys don't know, Marlena, you could Google that, was possessed. It was in the same setting of that Victorian hotel that I had talked about, the tall one that had a bit of a submarine feel again to it. At the top floor, there was a satanic ritual happening where they were doing like devious, like sex stuff. It was gross. There's feces involved. There's a lot of sodomy, like that kind of shit going on. And the eyes, the demon eyes was what scared me. And though like here, I think about it now and I'm like, that's so dumb. Like I just chopped the head off, but I felt as though the aspect that I was tapping into was a child version of myself, which is why I didn't have the tools at the time. I was not fully my power. I did not know what the fuck was going on, but I was in terror, because everywhere I went, all the people were trying to lure me. They all looked like they were in a trance and looking at me like with these eyes that would turn white and a voice that was really specific, like a tone. There was one male in particular that took me aside, and he had like such a long needle that he was he went in my fingers, these 3 fingers, and injected me with something. I don't know. So yeah, I think that was it, more or less. I was able to get myself out of there, and then I told her all about it, and then I went into, yeah, I cried, and then I went into connect to the child because Tina was saying she's like, I think you need a retriever. So we went to go get her. And to take care of everything, I fucking slayed everything in there and I burnt it up. Like I remember seeing the whole thing burn from the bottom up into a crisp. And everything, I think, were they also scattering like insects? Was it that one? I know it happened in the session, or no, it was ash that was like kind of falling everywhere. Because the main demon that I saw, I chopped her head off.
Which is Marlena, which is again the dark feminine.
Yeah.
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 So what Amanda saw in your clearing, which we're going to do a whole video about Lilith and that whole thing with Amanda, but what Amanda, so apparently someone has said, Kim Gogan has said that Lilith, who was residing in physical form here on Earth, is dead. But she was only embodying the crone aspect of Lilith, and then there's the mother and the maiden. Oh, that's right. Beyonce came up in your clearing.
Yeah.
Beyonce is embodying the mother aspect of Lilith. And then there's someone from, was it like 1300 something that was embodying the maiden aspect of Lilith. So there was a lot going on there, which is interesting that Beyonce came up because her album just came out recently. And she uses the word spaz in one of her songs. And apparently she got like in a bunch of shit for that and got canceled by the woke mob for using that word. And from what I heard of the album, it's like really just, it's really an insult to our intelligence that someone would release something like that, like it's just,
there's no words in there. It's just a bunch of doo-woppity boo.
It's like jibber jabber. It's like, it's nonsensical. Yeah. So it's interesting that all of these connections are being made, around this time where it's like Lilith, Beyonce.
Yeah. And they all hold demons and have contracts with the devil or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's what Amanda saw. Lilith is working through Beyonce. And so what happens when a demon inhabits someone like that is that the demon gets powerful, but the human self begins to shrink and the soul begins to degrade. You can only be inhabited by a demon for so long and enjoy that power and whatever before your soul begins to really degrade. And that's what's happening. And that's probably why her album's so shitty, and she's getting backlash for that because it's starting to backfire now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Canceled.
Yeah. So that was an interesting connection too.
Mm-hmm.
So you had that dream, you retrieved that child part of yourself, you burnt that shit to the ground. And then how have you been feeling since?
Great. We had a chiropractor appointment today. Amazing doctor out here in South Jersey. And I do, depending on certain cases, I'll bring clients to the healing temple. That's usually a very common place that I bring them. But depending on their needs, like if I feel that there's a lot of stuck energy, I'll sometimes do chiropractic stuff on them. And that just through the cracks itself will release a lot of energy that is stuck in
the body.
In the body, yeah.
So when you say chiropractic, like you're doing it on the energy body, right? The etheric body.
Yeah, not physically.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the etheric body. And I felt it today, like on a physical level. I left my body, she did too. You could see it.
Oh, we should show that video where
next time. Or I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah.
But there was like another, because you guys know, like I have like what do you call them? Fairy type or orbs. Yeah, he did like an occiput lift on my head and cracked it. The first one was massive. And I felt I left my body because of how much I've been holding there, I guess, or how much it's been stuck for years. I don't think no one's ever cracked me there. And then he goes to do the other side. And as he's like cradling my head about to do it, you see an orb come right up top, like where my head would be on his shoulder, and it flies around. It's my soul that was just like, peace out, bitches. I'm not doing this. It was so painful, but so much relief. A lot of stored energy in there that left. I feel a lot lighter. Body's sore though, but I feel more in alignment and lighter. Like I'm not carrying so much shit. I was having a ton of pain in my right sciatic area, and I felt that lift too as the day went on. So yeah, I recommend Chiro. If you find a really good one, definitely do it, because you have no idea how much shit is stored in your bones.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah, Tina had a really good one.
I screamed
Um,
a lot.
but it's years.
I couldn't help it. It just came out. It did hurt, but it also felt good at the same time.
Yeah, it's weird sensation.
Yeah. It's really
It's one
strange.
shock.
But
too.
I went in there with my right leg a half an inch shorter than my left, and my shoulders completely slumped over. And I came out of there completely straight, and my legs were both the same length
Yeah, which is amazing.
after 15 minutes.
Yeah,
That is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really amazing work.
Yeah. But I mean, over time, your body kind of starts to slip back into the groove it was in. I can already feel it like starting to go back to the way it was.
Yeah,
So you have to keep it up and do.
it's all maintenance. Like, just he gave us homework to do, so we have to maintain like the stretching, the icing to reduce inflammation, and yeah, it's just like how we give recommendations, and you have to kind of, I mean, we want you to follow through so that we don't see you again. In the long term, yes, it's good to have maintenance, but what I found was really interesting, like when I was going to a chiropractor on a regular, because I crack myself a lot, you know that. I didn't have, like when I was going on a regular, I didn't have the need to do it to crack myself. It goes because you're just trying to relieve.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if done by a professional, it's there to help. But yeah, I feel a lot straighter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a really intense week. I know, like, it's not just us. What I love about what these demons do though is that they're always pointing us to something within us that needs to be healed. And when you can use that to your advantage, then it's not for nothing, you know?
Yeah, you always have to use it. Of course, when you're in it and you see like a whole satanic ritual in front of your face, it's not pretty, but then you come into your own power and you get rid of it.
Right. Because it is usually your inner child that they're targeting because they're weak.
Yeah.
They're fucking weak. That they have to do that when you're sleeping to your inner child. I mean,
yeah, you can't get any more obvious.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did produce a lot of terror. So they got what they needed. But now I can find where that point of vulnerability.
The cracks are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can just cement that shit up.
Yeah. Lasso that masculine in.
Yeah. John Cena.
Karen's masculine looks like John Cena. How are you guys tonight? Oral out on foam, roller for daily compression for circulation. Hi, Alexander.
Hello.
Hi, Rainbow
Good to see you
Mouse.
guys.
Jennifer Zova's here. Good to see you guys. And Dip Trippy.
Please hit that like button if you like it.
What else did I want to talk about?
So that was pretty much the 1 week. I've been here a week. So that happened all in 1 week. Within that week, our next topic is the session story that we wanted to talk about. So we had a RSR live with a lovely client who's also heavily targeted, the usual spiel of the clients that we are attracting. Any other case history here for her? Just the targeting. I mean, she's very highly sensitive, is able to, has vision, physical vision, which is really cool. So she went in RSR Live, met up with her really lovely person. And what was seen in that session, again, dark demon who came, and she had one life before this one.
One human life.
One human life, yeah. And so opening scene was her, I think, as a little child. Was that what it was?
No, the opening
No? Okay.
scene
Oh yeah, well, leading to that.
led up to that, yeah. But she was in like this black cage. That thing was around her. When we zoomed out, we saw that the black cage were actually spider legs.
Oh,
So it
yeah.
was this gigantic spider that was on top of her, and around her was like this falling black glass.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the spider was like a black widow, a demonic, really sinister demonic energy. That was, and the glass and the spider were just like keeping her in fight or flight mode all the time. Like her body didn't know what it was like to feel rest, to feel at rest, at peace.
Yeah.
Because it was just constant in fight or flight, feeling unsafe.
Right.
And so we saw that that spider being in that situation was tied to a past life, kind of a curse, where she was targeted as a child. She was like out on a path, like in the woods, just playing, just really, really super pure spirit. And because of that purity, she was targeted by a demonic entity, a masculine demonic entity, right?
Yeah. And he also looked very similar to the first entity that I saw in the car with the dark eyes and the big nose. I don't know if he was wearing a wig, but same face. It was that face. So yeah, same situation where he took her completely, like as a child. She was just playing out there on the little walkway or whatever it was, and collecting rocks for her fairies or something like that, and shrunk her up. Like she disappeared physically. So took her soul essence along with the physical body into this glass jar thing that where she was trapped in.
Yeah, because you were saying that he was using some kind of magic, but you're saying he wasn't using magic, he was magic, or
yeah,
it was something.
There was no black magic spell or anything like that.
It was just the power in him.
Yes. Yeah. As if he was just like sucked her in.
And she was gone.
Yeah.
Disappeared.
Right. And we saw that there were other souls too that were also captured, and we were able to free them. I don't remember how many, but there was quite a few, I think.
I don't know why 120 is coming to mind. Was it 120?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So right. And he was saying that he owned her. Yeah. He owned her. Which was interesting because we've seen that before, where these entities like to claim dominion over a soul and claim that they own them, and then like capture them and put them in a little jar or something, like
a specimen.
Yeah, it's really strange. But yeah, it's like her essence, the essence of her became really small, and he put her in this container. You were saying that the jar looks similar to the pods.
Yeah, very similar. There's a glass thing, and they even had like a nub on top.
Yeah. And so what happened to him? So we burned that contract, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Do you have anything there? It's also dang hazy.
No, I was so in it with you that I didn't write a lot down. So that's really all I had. All I have is like when we confronted him and took back her essence,
Okay. Yes. Was it yeah. I was able to, I think, cut or at least to take her back, but when I did something to him or cut his head off or slice him, I don't know what, it's like he started to disintegrate almost. and like a crack in the face happened. And then when he, like when the physicalness of him, like the physical body was gone, it was all spiders, beetles that had kind of scattered. So then I had to like bring in a huge blowtorch and torch them all till they all like became ash.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was really creepy. Just because like just picture like no skin and then you just see like a clump up of like things and then they just scatter.
Right.
So gross.
And they end up going to her children or something.
Via one child, her firstborn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because there was a male in her life that came out of nowhere who felt like he was giving out like some weird, very obsessive vibes, telling her things like, I'm here to protect you, I'm here to I don't know, I love you, like all of those love bombing type things. And he even said, like, he's like, I'm gonna die, to which he did. And so,
Yeah, like the next week.
yeah, so imagine like having that kind of like, having contact with somebody like that who's saying really odd things that she felt in her body didn't feel right, and then saying something like that, and then it happening, like his death. But when we tuned into it, it didn't feel as though it was like a genuine, like it was just like an NPC or a creation or a physical creation of this demon who was able to completely possess him, so that he implant thoughts into her. I was seeing her pathway of her journey. And I think when this person came into her life, it was as if like, or after he died, was a massive punch into her field, like into the pathway of her
Which
spiritual.
diverted her path.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, hearing things like that from somebody makes you start to, yeah, it totally diverts it.
Right.
Because it creates a new belief
was
system.
because he was telling her something about him needing to die to protect her, or it was something like that. Something that made her feel guilty for his death. I forget
Yeah.
exactly what the words were, but it was like something that would make her feel guilty for his death. So then she goes on carrying that guilt.
Yeah, which in a way is like a contract.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That causes a huge vulnerability, carrying that guilt around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were able to clear all that out, clear it up for her, so to know what was really going on, so that she was able to let it go. At least energetically for now. And then I'm pretty sure she'll be back on the right path.
Yeah. She said after her clearing, she's already able to see so much more. She's feeling like herself again.
Yeah, when she did her protection.
Yeah, she could. Yeah, when she does her protection, she can actually see it, which is amazing. And I think that's such a great validation for all of us, those of us that can't physically see, to know that when we do our protection, it's actually there, it's actually working, and it's actually that important. And, someone that can see physically can validate that for us,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important. The protection is so important. And not just the protection, but the healing of the vulnerabilities, the healing of the inner child, the healing of all our vulnerable points that make us vulnerable to these entities. And I mean, if you don't, do the traveling yourself or explore your own consciousness, like you would never know that something like this happened to you in a past life, like
Wow.
that's why like this exploration of your consciousness is so important, to claim back the parts of yourself that have been taken.
Water break.
Thanks.
Do you guys have any questions? You can write them all in caps if you'd like. And if you're new here, please subscribe if you'd like. Say that. Is that it for that one?
Yeah, there were a lot of like vampiric demonic satanic contracts there. That whole thing was really created to disempower the divine feminine, because that soul was a pure embodiment of the divine feminine, what that really means, not a distorted version like we're seeing now.
Yeah, with the goddess collective.
Yeah.
The goddess
whole
rising.
worshiping goddesses and all that kind of stuff. No, she's like really, really pure divine feminine power. And it's those pure divine feminines that are really targeted the most. Yeah. To disempower, to make them feel subservient and docile and controlled and suppressed and oppressed. That's really the goal of these entities, is to suppress that power. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels so old, that kind of feminine,
Yeah, they had a whole cloak around her, like a dark, heavy blanket, just like suppressing her light. Yeah, and you saw that this lifetime is only her second human life, and that she's like comes from somewhere else and is like fairy-like, right?
Oh yeah, she's a fairy. She
Yeah,
looks like one.
she does.
Yeah.
That's
Little
so
mystical
cute. Yeah.
energy about her.
Yeah, super mystical.
Yeah.
There was also another one of those like floating head type entities.
Yeah, we see those sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
And those are the ones that implant thoughts and increase the inner critic inside and can be very aggressive.
Floating heads.
Floating heads.
Sometimes I see them, they look like pogo balls. Running around.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I remember, Alexander. Don't worry about your response. Just feel free to write whatever. We don't judge, so I mean, you don't have to filter anything that you want to say to us. Just let us know. There's no need to like concern us. Like we just kind of take it for what it is, and we hope to give you some, feedback that'll hopefully help you in your moving forward.
Oh, what happened to the chat? Oh, there. Okay. Okay, what's next? Our BQH session.
Yeah, let's do that one. That was a really good one.
That was really good.
We had a really, really nice session with this really lovely man from the UK. I don't know. This is like one of the, those clients that we just want them to win in life, because they're just.
He had a Dr. P special first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And he had really great results from it. He said his profound results. He said his fear dissipated, like all of those like really heavy things that he was carrying around just.
Yeah. Went. He's really like someone who is just ready to let go and follow the path that leads him, very authentic, very much heart-centered, very balanced in his energies. He had quite a bit of like, life experience, of course, but I felt like his attachment to it was not there. Like he was really just ready to let it go. I think he just wanted to understand himself on a really deep soul level, to see things that was ready to come through. That way he was, on to the next for him.
Yeah. And what was great about him is that he, we always tell people like, for the best results with your sessions, like whether it's a Dr. P special, which is in written form, or it's you get a recording, like either listen to your recording over and over or read your report over and over, because that's going to help integrate those energies, and people that do that have the best results, because I think those are the people that are most what's the word?
Susceptible? No.
No. Dedicated. That's the word, to their healing. And they have the best results. And you notice the results not just immediately, but like subtle changes over time. Once those attachments are gone, your life will start to shift in subtle ways. And you have to keep on top of it too. I mean, as
Yeah.
you see, like we still have to clear ourselves all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
We do nightly protection too. We have to constantly be on guard of what's going on. Yeah.
So I didn't write a lot for this either because I was so in it. I was so in it, so I didn't take a lot of notes. What I always tell people for quantum healing sessions is you really have to leave all your expectations behind, like all of them. And just really go in with an open mind, being open to whatever is presented to you, because you're going to get exactly what you need.
You always get, every single client has always gotten exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
Even if they just fell asleep for the whole thing.
Yeah. Which has happened once. And it was with a client who just really needed that rest. But yeah, just being open to whatever your consciousness is ready to show you. And when you can do that, when you can really leave those expectations behind, I mean, regardless of like how many sessions you've watched or read, books you read of like Dolores Cannon's or Michael Newton's or whatever, your session's not going to be like any of those, because your session is going to be unique to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we don't really structure our sessions, we really leave it open to allowing your consciousness to guide us. I'm really careful about not leading people, but
no, you don't.
Yeah.
You really don't.
Yeah. But allowing their consciousness to be the guide. And I'm also guiding, but not in a leading way. So it's always interesting to see what happens during a session. And I love when people are taken to this space where it's just pure consciousness. There's no past life scene. There's no memories that come up. There's nothing. It's pure consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And they just get to sit in that space as experiencing that awareness of what it feels like, again, to be free of the body, to be free of the thoughts, to be free of the feelings, and just be.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Like, that's one of my favorite things to experience with a client, because they are completely happy just to sit there and be in that space.
Yeah, it's really powerful to bring that kind of energy in the physical, because you know that it can exist. There's no suffering, there's nothing, there's no attachment. It's just what is. I, however, brought in a past life for him, but it was just for him to understand a little bit, to clear up the relationship that he has with his parents in this life. And once he was able to understand it, he was like, cool story, bro, let's go. Like, it was fine. He felt cool, like closure, done.
Mm-hmm.
So he got that to understand the relationship now, has full understanding that the relationship may not change. So he's cool with that, because he put peace, like he's at peace with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And just like, I don't know. I just love when it's happened a few times where they land in that space, and it's just like you don't even you don't have words to describe it. You know, all you can let
Mhm.
them do is be there in that space and allow whatever healing is happening to happen.
Yeah, he felt like, even just like, because my eyes are closed during it, and you can hear just his relaxation, his contentment. Yeah, he was just happy.
just being there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. And it's such a powerful energy. After this session, we both passed out for hours. There was so much energy. So much energy in this session. So then we did Karen saw some other things, and which also explained a lot of his physical traumas in this lifetime, including like skull fracturing a couple times, being run over, like really traumatic physical things, um, which were all connected somehow, right?
Yeah, I remember it very vaguely. But yeah,
Yeah.
there was a tie-in for all his mishaps and yeah, all the falling and accidents.
Yeah. Was that connected to a past life, or what was that connected to? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I don't know if it was during the body
It's
scan, maybe. Did
oh
we see
yeah, yeah,
something?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And that's interesting because it reminds me of Sean and all
Mm-hmm.
his connections
Mm-hmm.
between all of his physical things too.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always like a root point.
Mhm. And I love how there's a root point to everything, and there's also this thread that like weaves through our clients.
Yeah, everybody seems to be interconnected somehow.
Yeah,
It's cool.
it is really cool.
And connected to us too. Definitely.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Yeah, so there was, yeah, all these injuries and accidents that all um related back to an origin point. And then the best part of the session, which I love so much, is I mean, really what he wanted to know was he just felt like most of us feel like, I don't feel like I'm from here. What am I doing in this place? He felt like he's been planning for lifetimes, or at least a couple lifetimes, to finally exit here, and that this is his lifetime to exit. And he wanted to know, who am I? Where do I come from? Um, and so when I asked that question and asked to be shown where does he come from, he actually landed on a beach.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's nice.
yeah, and it was somewhere that he was familiar with, that he used to go with his parents as a family, as a child. But the emotional reaction that he had to being there was so much bigger than just a childhood vacation. I
Yeah.
could tell that there was something more happening than even he was aware of.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a huge ping in his body.
His body remembered.
Yeah.
So even though he didn't consciously have the memory of, oh, this is where I'm from, his body was remembering, and this connection to the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was really beautiful to witness that. But you saw, so he was there anchoring into that memory, anchoring into the beach and the sea. And then you saw a connection to something, right?
To Atlantis.
To Atlantis.
Yeah. He looked like the merman or the Aquaman. I think I call him Aquaman.
Aquaman, yeah.
Because yeah, he could live on both, but he was always in the water. Because all I saw really from him was his upper body all the time. He was just in the water. Completely content and smiling and tanned. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he found his home. And it also brought him, because he took a couple of days off, that I don't know, we have to follow up with him, but we'd like to know like if he ended up going back to that childhood vacation place to to kind of like reconnect with what feels like the closest to home for him.
Yeah, because what was interesting too is that place also had a star fort there. Do you guys know about the star forts? There's these ancient forts in certain places around the world, and no one really knows who built them or where they came from or how they got there. But they're very interesting structures, and he always felt very drawn to that specific place. And it came up in the session that that specific place was, there's still a connect, like an Atlantis energy in that space. And that's why he was feeling so deeply connected to that.
Yeah.
So even though he didn't have any of his own like visual memories of past lifetimes or anything like that, he was having the emotional memory of these things, which is even it's just as profound, you know?
Yeah. I find even more so.
More so to have the emotional, you can't fake emotion. Like you can say like, oh, you just made that past lifetime up in your imagination, or that was an implant, or that was fake, or, you know, the archons put that in your mind, whatever. You can say that about, you know, a visual. You can't say that about that deep emotional remembrance that someone has. You know, like that's real and that's profound, and that's coming from somewhere deep, deep, deep within them. That's
Definitely.
something you can't fake. And that's one thing I love about these sessions is that when someone feels that emotion and that remembrance of that emotion coming up within them, like you just know that that's one of the most authentic things you'll ever bear witness to.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so beautiful for someone to have that remembrance, you know, because we feel so alone and isolated here, and to feel that.
Yeah. It's like just pulling in what is good here. You have to be able to see or recognize what is good here. I feel like for the rest of his life now, even from here, from this point on, he got what he needed. He can put everything in the past, you know, is at peace now. He's great. And now he can really have quality of life here while he's here. And then when it's time for him to go, he can get out of here.
Yeah.
He's someone who can exit.
Yeah.
He's not holding on to anything, which is really great. So nice to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is nice.
Yeah. You have to, there's a trick in, you know, getting out of here. You know, we talk about the getting out of here. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to do to get out of here.
What are they?
Detaching from everything, your whole belief system and everything. Even if you think it's a trap, it's just like, okay, well, what emotions are you holding around that knowledge? It's everything surrounding everything. What are you willing to let go of? You know, can you live your best life now and not be a farm, not take part in being part of the farm? Can you say, I love being here? Like, it's not that bad. And when I'm ready to go, I'm going to go.
Right. Right. Because it ultimately, it always comes back to balance.
Always.
It always comes back to balance. And we've seen that over and over and over again when we ask the question, how do we exit the matrix? How do we exit this place? And it always comes back to balance. Finding that 0 point, finding that neutrality, not swinging too hard in one way or the other.
Yeah. So yeah, that client really embodied that balance.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was really a beautiful session to be a part of, because, you know, when we have sessions with someone, we're also receiving the healing.
Mhm.
Oh, and what has come up in multiple sessions back to back to back is this purple energy,
Mhm.
this beautiful purple energy keeps coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's almost like it's a reflection of who they are.
definitely.
Yeah. Oh, so that's right. We have a video clip to show you. Wait, you guys got to see this because it's so cool. So remember when we landed in this session. So when I say landed, I mean, so it's like we follow a meditation and we land in a memory. But when we landed, it wasn't in a memory. It was in this white space, just this pure consciousness. And before the session started, it was about 5:30, 6 p.m. UK time. And he didn't have any lights on in the room. He just had his curtain closed with a little light coming in. It wasn't very much. And I was concerned that it was going to get dark and I wouldn't be able to see him anymore. But I'm like, oh, whatever, at least he'll be comfortable. So I didn't have that problem. The whole session, it was bright, perfect light in the room. It didn't start dimming, like you would expect if the sun was going down like it was. It didn't start dimming. It was bright, just like this.
I thought he had his light on.
So
because we
did
took
I.
a pee break. And then I thought because I thought we told him to turn on the light in case for the end if we went overtime. So that's what I assumed.
He did, but he never turned it on.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. I thought that's why I was confused. Anyway, you'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see.
So
I just have to take that out.
So this clip is us coming out of our session, and I'm bringing him up and back to his everyday consciousness. And as we're coming up, you'll see that the light that was on flips off like a switch. As soon as he opens or right after he opens his eyes fully, it's really cool. I've never seen anything like that before. Like I've seen lights manifest in sessions, like really cool things happen, but nothing this noticeably like.
It's like his inner light was just illuminating the whole room.
Yeah.
And then he came back into the physical body and it's like, bam, back in the matrix.
Yeah. It's that distinct. Like it's a very distinct on off. Okay, let me see.
I'll pull that out. Is it this one?
Oh.
I don't want to pull the wrong one.
Yeah.
Like it's like his inner light was just illuminating the whole room. Yeah. And then he came back into the physical body and it's like, bam, back in the matrix. Yeah.
Hold on. It's that distinct. Like it's a very distinct on off.
Just bring that big. We'll share.
Could people hear that in the background?
Maybe.
No one told them. Could you guys hear that video playing in the background? I couldn't hear it. I hope not.
It's okay. It is what it is. Okay, so we're gonna play the clip of Tina bringing him out, and yeah, that one.
It's this one.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait. Stop.
Yeah, let's start with that picture.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah, there. Yeah, it's there. Okay. You gotta press play because I can't do it.
Their body. Then just beginning to stretch and move, knowing that today is the first day of your brand new life. Brand new life begins today, right now.
switched off. Look at your face.
That's weird. Where did the light go? Did you see that?
It disappeared.
Yeah. That's whoa. I don't think that light was.
Wait, let me rewind. Do you guys see that?
Yeah, so his eyes open. And he comes to.
That's weird. Where did the light go?
Oh, wait.
Did you see that?
Now there. Yeah. And it just shuts.
That's so wild.
That's weird. Where did the light go? Did you see that?
Wow. Yeah, that was really wild. The whole time the light was bright, just like, you see before it goes off, it was on the whole time. Yeah, that's why I could see your face. Because I saw it like I was stretching or whatever, and I saw it in the corner of my like off, and I'm like, okay. I thought like maybe the night light turned on, or I don't know what, something. But you're like, where'd the light go? But yeah, it was. Yeah, there's nobody home. Yeah, it's
With
like
him,
he
he
grounded
was-
back into physical world here, and yeah, that light was coming from him.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because you said the light stayed steady the whole
It
time.
was steady. Well, when I like fast forward through the whole session, it goes up and down a little bit. And it comes on the brightest when we're connecting with his higher self and he's going home to the beach in Atlantis. That's when it gets the brightest. So it's the brightest like at the end of the session where it should be the darkest, because it should be the darkest there.
Right.
Outside.
Right.
But it's
Physically.
actually the brightest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's really cool.
So I guess I don't know if y'all have any other questions or comments. But if you're new here, please like.
Please like and subscribe. You left that off.
Yeah, it's optional. I mean,
It's optional.
um,
Comment, share.
yeah, we appreciate y'all for coming in and sharing in the chat. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can leave it also in the comment section. If we don't get to answer, it will answer you over there. If you want to know any other topics that you want us to talk about, please also let us know. We're always open to feedback, whatever you guys want to share. And yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up right here. It's getting late around here. It's about 10 to midnight here on the East Coast. So we just want to say thank you again to everybody who came.
Okay, before we,
That sounds
sorry.
It's okay though.
Someone mentioned ringing in the ears. Yes, I will say that the last few weeks, it's been really, really bad. I don't get the ringing, but I get these weird ear sensations. I don't exactly know what to call them. Let me plug this back in. Yeah, I don't get the ringing, but what came through in my clearing was that there's directed energy weapons, especially over the East Coast of the US
Mm.
that are being used and that are triggering, because again, they know
they know how we create. So they don't actually create it for us. They know how to trigger us into creating. So they trigger the symptoms in the body with these weapons, and then we create the sickness by focusing on them and then manifesting that sickness.
Mhm.
So whether it's COVID or cancer or lupus or fibromyalgia or whatever you're diagnosing yourself with, it's because they are giving you symptoms and then making you believe that you're sick and that you need to have a diagnosis or some kind of illness, when really it's just the symptoms of these energy weapons that they're targeting at the population. But then they also then create the fear through all of the news outlets and media, and they get people going, and then it begins to actually create the very thing that we don't want. That's how they use us. They use our own subconscious against us,
Mhm.
which is exactly what you saw in your mushroom implant thing.
So gross.
They've done it to me before. I had a device in my breast, which made me think it was cancer. So they were trying to make me manifest cancer, because they know how our minds work. They know exactly how to get us to create the very things that we don't want, but that is bad for us, that will allow them to feed off of us. And they do it all the time. A lot of our physical symptoms can actually come down to implants and attachments in the etheric body itself, in the etheric organs. So if you're having any kind of physical symptoms, I would focus on energy clearing
Mhm.
before anything, or
Yeah.
at least in combination with the physical support of the physical body. But definitely get your energy cleared, because they really
They like to put some shit in there
yeah,
and they'll hide it. And they'll throw stuff, like we've been seeing things in the subconscious too. So we're gonna start really looking deeper into the subconscious area to see if there's any entities hanging out there too. Because they like to hide.
entities, implants, implanted thoughts, belief systems, programs, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. So
that's all I wanted to
Yeah.
say.
thank you. And thank you everyone again for coming in. And we hope to see you again on the next episode. We don't know when that's going to be, so hopefully you'll get the notification. So put on that bell, click it, like, subscribe, and comment. We like to chat with you guys, so any comment that you make, we will respond if we do see fit, because sometimes people
Oh yeah, and YouTube comments get erased all the
yeah,
time.
so if you see that we don't comment back and your comment's still there and we haven't responded, sometimes we don't see it. So
Oh, yeah. And there's someone that commented on one of our videos about a demon/human that walked up to him on the street and shouted something at him, like, oh, stop talking to the dead, he said. Why do you think a demon/human would walk up to him and say that?
I don't know.
To spark fear?
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's
apart
the
from
only
that,
reason I can really think of.
I don't see any other reason apart from that for a mind fuck. Like,
Right,
that's just like something to get the thoughts going.
right.
Thought forms, questioning belief systems, your sanity, making you sound crazy if you go tell your friend.
Yeah.
It causes the ripple effect of that can cause multiple things.
Right. And so I really wanted to answer that question, but then the comment disappeared. So dumb.
Yeah.
So yeah, your comments disappear a lot. If we don't respond to them, that's probably why.
And if so, like, or if you really do want to know, the best place to contact us is through our email.
Yeah.
So quantumhealingwithtina, TNA@gmail.com.
Yeah.
All right. So sending you all of our love and all our best too. I want you to be happy. Be happy. It's very important.
Mhm.
So we'll see you guys again and have a great night and good night. Have a
Bye,
great night. Good
guys.
night. Yeah. Okay. Peace.
Bye. See you next time.